All right, let's talk about allergies. This is always something that comes up, especially with kids. I feel like allergies actually get a bad rap because everybody that has sick kids will say that they have allergies. That's just a little side piece in there. I'm a parent too, so sometimes we think that they're allergies. Maybe they're actually a virus. But all that to say, we all live with seasonal allergies. And this is really when the immune system is just overreacting to something that's in the environment, some kind of trigger. And what I'm finding is, because it's becoming far more common, do you agree? Like, this is something that we're seeing with kids all the time, with adults all the time. And I really think it's because our toxic load, our bucket is already full. And then you add in one more thing and our immune system just gets, it fires off, and now it's overreacting or misreacting to something that it shouldn't, or should have the margin and bandwidth to be able to handle. So let's talk about some ways that we can kind of navigate that from our home. One of my favorite things to do if we're talking about seasonal allergies, so it could be like dry eyes, itchy eyes, maybe your nose gets a little bit drippy, maybe you feel like your lungs are a little bit more inflamed, so maybe you've got some irritation in your throat, or you kind of have that lump in your throat. You may even experience headaches. So usually in springtime, things start kind of popping up everywhere. There may just be a week or two where everything's blooming and you just kind of have this brain fog and a little bit of lingering headache. So these are some ways that I know have supported myself, my family, and I think that they're going to serve you when you run into allergies, whether it's the next season or it's just something that's environmental and you feel like maybe you're overly sensitive to. Bee pollen is one of my absolute favorites. Now, see if you can get this locally. I love this. I also love local honey, but bee pollen specifically has so many different nutrients in it. It's really high in vitamin A as well, and vitamin D, which we know helps support the immune system. So that's why I love this. It can be sprinkled on top of different yogurts. You can add it to smoothies. My kids will even put it on a spoon and just eat it. Now, they love raw honey too, but that tends to make a little bit more of a mess. So if you are constantly cleaning up messes in your home and you're looking for an easier way to access honey, bee pollen offers a number of health benefits. One of the other things you can do is vitamin C. Now, this is an oral tincture. I love this one because it's easy to dose for children. If you're an adult, you'd want to do the same thing as well, because vitamin C helps lower histamine. That's the response to a lot of what we see that's irritating. It's a part of the immune system, but we need to be able to control that histamine response and break it down. And when it starts to circulate in high amounts in the body, that's where we can start to see those undesirable symptoms. So vitamin C can be really helpful. You can take this twice a day or up to 4 times a day. Again, start with a small dose for kids. This particular oral tincture, I usually do about 30 to 60 drops. But again, the dosing will vary based on what you're using. If you're using vitamin C capsules, always look for whole food form vitamin C, not just ascorbic acid. You want all of those bioflavonoids and kind of helper components. It's not just the one aspect of ascorbic acid. So look for whole food form. Camu, acerola berry, those are really great ones to look for. Something else that you can use in your home is a neti pot. So if you've got sinus pain, right up here in your nose, and it just starts to give you a headache and you feel pressure, this will be your saving grace. I actually had a porcelain one and I broke it about a week or two ago because it was sitting out at night and I didn't realize it, and it was the same color as the countertop, and I just flung my hand and it shattered into a million pieces. So we have a little backup plastic one, but you can get this anywhere. You can probably just order it online, but you can also find these almost at any grocery store or drugstore. So you want to use distilled water. And then I like to add these salts to them as well. It kind of makes it like a saline rinse. So it's somewhat hydrating to that nasal cavity. But the point is that it's going to flush that out. So any bacteria from those irritants that get caught in the sinus cavity, it's going to flush that out. You will feel immediate relief when you use that. I would be willing to bet if you do not experience some type of relief, I would be surprised. There may be something else going on. But if it's really sinus congestion that's related to an allergy response, then this is going to be very, very helpful. This is going to be difficult with children. So unless you have older kids, I would maybe just keep this one alongside for adults. It takes maybe a little nuanced in getting the effect, because you're going to put it up one nostril, kind of lean to the side, and then you'll do the other half on the other side and it will drain out. Feels a little weird, but give it a shot. play around with it a little bit. Once you learn how to do it, it is an excellent way to support sinuses and irritation, especially when it comes to the nose cavity and right in your face where you can really feel it. Now, some of the other supplements that you can take are stinging nettle. It has antihistamine properties, so you can take about 500 milligrams twice daily. That's really great. You can also do stinging nettle tea. I love nettle tea. It has a little bit of a kind of an earthy, more of like a grounding, warming type of tea. So it's not overly flavorful. If you're not a tea person, this is not very pungent. So you may tolerate that really well. Quercetin is another antioxidant that's very helpful, and butterbur. So butterbur it kind of helps with the mucus aspect. So if you're somebody that tends to have all that nasal drippage, and you kind of just feel like your nose is constantly running, butterbur is a great herbal that you can incorporate as well. Now, reishi mushroom, I love mushrooms. That's excellent in supporting the body's histamine response. You can take that, as needed if you're not already using that on a regular basis. And then probiotics to help support the gut, right? The immune system is what we're really, really targeting, what we're looking to help improve the response of, and that's in the gut. So probiotics will help support that as well. Now, foods that you're going to want to remove from the diet when you're dealing with histamine response or allergies are going to be things like gluten. Dairy would definitely exacerbate some of these symptoms. Anything processed, eggs sometimes can actually pose a little bit of a problem. So pull those eggs out. And alcohol, sugar, caffeine, all of those things, that they're going to probably cause a problem because you may be consuming them and experiencing some of those problems. So pull them out for the time that you're addressing this. Layer in some of these support elements, and then you can start to incorporate things like if you're used to drinking coffee and you normally tolerate that, you could bring that back in a little bit later. Foods that we're going to help heal are asparagus, cauliflower, miso, and fermented foods are great. So if you like things that are more pickled in nature, you could do kimchi or other forms of fermented vegetables. Those are always a hit with kids. Flax and chia seeds are awesome. They're so rich in fats and fiber and all types of nutrients. So those are great to add into smoothies. I love to kind of create a really nutrient-dense smoothie where you can add the greens in to support the liver, and then you can add in some of the fiber and the protein and the omega fatty acids from the flax seeds. So those are really helpful as well. So there's a number of things you can do from home. Like I said, the neti pot, vitamin C, quercetin, local honey, look for local bee pollen. Hopefully these will help serve you as you're navigating that with your family. But again, look at other contributors as you're remediating some of these things at home. Also look at what could be potentially triggering you to have kind of a response that is more than really should be there. So what I mean by that is, do you potentially have mold? Do you have a mold exposure? We dealt with this in our own home earlier in the summer, and it was very damp in the house, and I could tell like we were all kind of having some things going on, and so we started actually checking the humidity, and the moisture was really high. So we had to address that, and we had to do a number of things to kind of remediate that situation. But look at things beyond just the environmental triggers. Sometimes there are other things that are kind of the root cause, but that they're making these symptoms of yours even worse. So I hope that this serves you. Take some notes, set this up, get these things in your house so that when you actually have these things and these symptoms arise, you have something in your toolkit that you can access. I hope this helps you the next time you deal with allergies, whether it's you, your family, your children, and we'll see you on the next module.